Hi folks, welcome to another edition of Gold Bazan. Today we'll be interviewing India's first team manager Stephen Constantine, who has notably supervised India's rise to the 129th mark according to their latest rankings, which is considered India's best ranking in the past 6 years. We spoke a lot about a variety of topics with Coach Constantine, one of which was about the Indian Super League, about India's football development, whether that is grassroots development not only for India, but Asian football scale. We spoke about Carlos Queiroz, what Coach Constantine thinks about Iranian football and the Iranian national team, and various other topics. From the conversations that I've had with Coach Constantine, and definitely a football man through and Hi folks, right now I'm on air with Coach Stephen Constantine. Coach, thank you so much for your time again. Thank you for accepting to come on the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, and hope all is well. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, and thanks for inviting me.
Coach, before we get into the gist of things, obviously you have vast numerous of experience, from Nepal, Millwall, reserves, Malawi, Sudan, and the list goes on. And I know previously you had managed India back in the day, probably like 2005, if I'm not mistaken, was your last time. What made you want to come back to Asian football?
Look, I am a little nomadic, I guess you could say. I love what I do. I love coaching, and I had a call from India. Would I be interested in coming back? I think it was a good move. Exciting things are happening in India. We have the Under-17 World Cup coming up in October, and there's a lot of good publicity in football in the last 2 years since I've been back. So I think it's one of those where you hope that you're going to go and make a difference and help to put things forward, which I think we have done in the last 2 years.
Coming back to, the Indian League, that it's obviously booming. A lot of superstars from the past are even coaching there, either as, coaches or as, professionals, as athletes. How do you see the Indian League growing in, a couple of years and from the past?
Well, I'm hopeful that the Indian Super League and the I League, we have two leagues that currently run one after the other, and that's something that needs to be looked at, obviously, because both seasons are 3 or 4 months long, and that's an issue, obviously, with consistency and stability for the clubs and the team. So hopefully they're able to get things sorted out in the not too distant future. As you said, there is a lot of big name coming here in the Indian Super League, which is great. I don't ordinarily happen for Indian players to be playing alongside, Anelka, Ilano, and Diego Forlan and stuff like that. So that's all good. But at the end of the day, we need the Indian players to develop and to come on, and that's going to take time.
Right, I believe even you guys have, for the first ever time, an Indian player playing abroad in Europe, if I'm not mistaken, your goalkeeper.
Yes, Gurpreet Singh is currently in Norway, and hopefully he breaks into their senior team this year. He's there or thereabouts. I'm optimistic that this year is his year. Very good keeper, and a very good boy as well.
Let's talk about the player development that is happening in India and some of the difficulties that you've seen, and then we're going to touch base on the general aspect of the difficulties that you've seen from generally in Asian football, and how to motivate these guys to try to go up to the higher leagues, like as you said, go to Norway and whatnot in Europe. What are the challenges have you seen so far in India, or generally speaking in Asian football, that could correlate with one another?
Look, I think the big issue is that the level of coaching needs to be better than it is. You have good coaches, you'll produce good players. You have average coaches, they'll produce not so good players. I think in Asia we have the quality. There is the ability. There are the resources. But I think that we don't pay enough attention to the right age groups. So football is not started at 14 or 15. Football is started at 3 or 4 years old, and I think that culture has to change. if you look at the World Cup, only 8 teams have ever won the World Cup. And if you look at those 8 countries, they all have one thing in common, and that is a football culture.
Yes.
And I think that takes time. In India, we have it's the size of Europe. And so you've got varying degrees of football being played at certain different levels. So it's quite difficult to get everybody pulling in the same direction. And like I said, that takes time. But I think coaching needs to be improved, and we need to be going into schools, junior schools, secondary schools, to develop that culture.
I know one of the really marvelous things, he's such a huge, fantastic achievement for India. You guys were previously ranked probably in the 171-ish on the FIFA rankings, and now you've achieved your best ranking in 6 years. I believe now it's 130th, if I'm not mistaken, right now to the FIFA ranking. That should be some achievement to you, Coach. Let's talk about that achievement.
The achievement is much as it is the players and the backroom staff and everybody that has to the national team in the last years. It's been a very, very tough couple of years. We've introduced around 30 players who have made their international debuts in the last 4 years. And obviously, some of those players, 5 or 6 years, whoever comes in after me. We won the Suzuki Championship.
And right now, Coach, we want to shift, talk about Iran. Interesting when we had a conversation on the phone. I didn't know you had been to Iran more than once, actually. Let's talk about Iran, generally speaking, in the football terms, from what you've seen in Iran and whatnot. And obviously, we're going to talk about the match that India had in Iran during March of last year. So what do you think about the footballing aspects happening in Iran, Coach?
Look, I think Iran has a wealth of talent, very, very good players. When we played them, as you said, in March, they were very good. I think they can do better than they do sometimes. I have a fantastic coach, and really have nothing but my respect for as a football nation. I would say, if I was to sit here and discuss his problems or my problems, that's, I think, a question you need to ask him.
And Coach, has there ever been any conversations that you've had or relationships with any Iranian players personally?
I met several times the legend that is Ali Daei, and very, very interesting character, and one of the greats. But I have not come across too many Iranian players in India over the last 2 years.
Right. And obviously, the last question that I have in regards to Iran is, where do you see them? Do you see them qualifying for this World Cup coming up in the qualifier?
Yeah, I think they're very strong in all departments, well organised, well disciplined. They've got some wonderful players, and I would be one of the 4 Asian teams that qualify.
Shifting back to India now, Coach, I know you guys are right now in the qualifiers to get into the AFC Asian Cup that is happening 2019. Tell us a little bit more about the preparations and stuff that you guys have in hand for that.
Well, we'll probably go into camp the second week of March, and then prepare for the difficult away game against Myanmar.
Mm-hmm.
They're always very well organised, quite strong at home, partisan crowd. We expect a very difficult game, but if we can get something from that game, and will be great for us, because then we have Kyrgyzstan at home in June, and obviously we want to win it, and we want to try and win our home games. And the other team team is Macau. So I mean, look, there are no easy games for India. We will have to fight tooth and nail to get anything from all of the games, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to get what we need and hopefully qualify for the Asian Cup.
Coach, my final question, which is I'm very interested to know, is that obviously you're the first team manager, but right now you're helping the U17 team. Do you also, is that like also part of the job that comes with it? You also have to focus on U23 and other certain ages, which is really interesting to me.
Look, when I go to a particular job, I go with the attitude that I'm going to be there for the rest of my career. Obviously, it doesn't happen, but I have a great interest in youth development. I think that the best coaches in any particular country should be the young coaches. They are the ones that are going to produce the players, so that guys like us at the top end with the national teams pick. So I've come down to obviously they're without a coach at the moment, the under-17s. So I offered to come down and work with them for a week or so, and that's what I'm doing here now in Goa. But I take an interest in all the age group teams. I think it's important that the coaches of the age group teams get to interact and see the national coach. And it's even more important that the players of the under-17s, under-19s, under-21s, under-23s see that the head coach is actually looking, motivates them, and continuity and the philosophy the same for the senior team all the way down to the under-15s. It's much easier to put an under-19 into the team because is the same, and for me, actually, all across the association, there needs to be that players for this national side.
Coach, the final question we have for you, thank you for your time, is there any final thoughts that you have to say to the viewers, about, from what you've seen, that how India is progressing and just in Asian football, where do you see Asian football moving along in the future?
I think we need to be a little more of identifying coaches, good coaches, and trying identifying players. There are a lot of very good coaches in Asia and a lot of very, very good players all across Asia. Obviously, there are a lot of problems with logistics and leagues, and certain leagues are not up. But I think that the AFC have started to implement some changes, and hopefully going forward we have more players playing in top leagues in the world, more than there are.
Coach, I really appreciate your time for coming on Gol Bazan. As always, we hope to have you more on next time, hopefully as a panelist. Thank you so much.
Nice to be on the show. Thank you very much, Pasha.